Hello. On Sunday, we spent some time looking at Jesus' trial in the third week of our series on events leading up to Easter from John's Gospel. The trial section in John spans quite a big section of text and quite a few different events, including Jesus being taken by the soldiers to be questioned by the high priest, Peter denying Jesus 3 times, Jesus being taken to Pilate, Pilate questioning Jesus, Jesus being flogged, and then Jesus finally being handed over to be crucified. On Sunday, the focus was on Jesus before Pilate, and in particular looking at some of the questions that Pilate asked Jesus. For this video on Tuesday and the second follow-up on Thursday, I wanted to spend a few minutes on Tuesday and Thursday's videos looking at Peter's denials of Jesus. Back in chapter 13 of John's Gospel, we read that Jesus had predicted that this would take place, that Peter denying Jesus 3 times would take place. And Jesus had been talking to his disciples, and he told them that where he was going, they could not follow now, but would follow later. And Peter wants to know why he can't follow now, and declares that he would lay down his life for Jesus. And one of the commentators that I've read describes Peter as being full of zeal and bravado. And I can certainly empathise with Peter in this situation. Jesus had predicted his betrayal by Judas, and he's just told them that he's only going to be with them for a little while longer. And I suppose in this emotionally charged situation, I think I'd have been prone to being a bit like Peter, to have spoken passionately without fully understanding the implications or context of what's happening. To say, surely I can follow you wherever you're going. Surely I would do anything for you. I'd lay down my life for you. Jesus tells Peter that before the rooster crows, you will disown me 3 times. Peter's response isn't recorded in John, but in Mark and Matthew, we read that Peter insists emphatically that he would never disown Jesus, even if it meant his own death. So back in John 18, in verses 15 to 18, we find the first of Peter's denials. Stood around a fire to keep warm, a servant girl asked him, "Aren't you one of this man's disciples too?" "I am not," Peter replies. And then we need to move forward to verses 25 to 27 to find Peter's second and third denial. And still by the fire, he's asked again, "You aren't one of his disciples too, are you?" And again he says he's not. And a third time, one of the high priest's servants challenge him. "Didn't I see you in the garden with him?" Again, Peter denies it. In Matthew, we read that by the third denial, Peter was calling down curses, and he swore, I don't know that man." So, here we have a man who earlier insisted he'd never deny Jesus, even if it meant his own death, who's just denied Jesus 3 times, and possibly he's getting more and more annoyed or agitated to the point of calling down curses. And then the rooster begins to crow. And we read in Matthew's account that Peter went outside and wept bitterly. And I guess we've all been there when the thing that upsets us is not something that someone else has done, but how we've completely and utterly let ourselves down. Those are indeed bitter tears. I wonder if you were to think, what is the worst thing that I've ever done? What you may think of. I wonder if Peter were asked that question, if he might say, denying Jesus is the worst thing that he's ever done. So at this point, things are not looking good. Jesus is just about to be handed over to be crucified, and Peter, who passionately vowed to never disown Jesus, having denied him 3 times, has just heard the rooster crow and has left weeping bitterly. This is looking like a pretty bleak situation. What will happen to Jesus? What will become of Peter? And what might this mean for us? Well, you'll have to tune in on Thursday for the second instalment where we'll think about just that.